Hi guys, Laurie Searle here. I am an LA-based yoga teacher and teacher trainer, one of the teacher trainers, co-lead teacher trainers at Tavoos Garden, and it's my pleasure to share with you just a really grounding yoga practice today that will bring up the heat, ground your energy, and hopefully find you really balanced at the end of the day. Our entire world has been shaken up with many different things, and because it's shaken up, much like a snow globe, we need that time to really settle. So throughout this quarantine, throughout all of these movements that we're seeing, we're finding that we're moving into more of a registic or overly energized state of consciousness. And then sometimes we feel like we're stuck. We are helpless and can't do much of anything, or have been stuck at home for a long period of time. And that's a tamasic energy. So what we're really trying to do is we need both, but we need to find that balance, that sattva. So hopefully this class will bring your energy up, but also keep you grounded, not stuck, and help you achieve that balance. And you can do these kinds of practices, just really basic moves without being all jazzy and crazy, any time that you have time to do it. So even if it's 5 minutes of a little bit of a flow, it's nice to have a class that builds for beginning, middle, and end. But sometimes we only have time to move the body for 5, 10, 15 minutes. So what we're going to do, we'll work all 4 sides of the body, and the body from physical, outside, inside, out. So you can actually take some of these little sequences and just plug them into your day whenever you have time to do it. You don't need a huge warm up for a lot of these poses. So we'll start in a crisscross applesauce position, cross-legged. If you do have props at home, like a blanket or blocks or a book, you can always use those things to prop up your energy, so your physical energy, if you're still feeling really tight or feel tight in the body. I prefer to actually sit in hero's pose. So if you want to sit in hero's pose, that's simply sitting on your heels, if that's okay for the tops of your feet. Or you can also sit with the hips between the heels. I like that even better since I run. It's very nice for the knees. So find that position of choice. And it might take you a while to even find that position you can sit in for 10 minutes. We're not going to sit for 10 minutes. But just find that position that you feel like you can be in for a moment. And if you don't feel like you're ready to meditate or just be grounded quite yet, start this class, take a few moments to just shrug the shoulders, draw the chin towards the chest and the back of the head back, draw an ear to shoulder. So depending on, did you just wake up? Did you just work a full day of Zoom or behind the computer, or were you driving a lot today? Depending on how your day is structured, what time of day you're doing this, just find a few little wiggles to get yourself to the mat, to get yourself in this space. And then I encourage you to just draw your gaze slightly forward on the horizon and just kind of blur your gaze there, or ideally close the eyes so you can draw your gaze inwards and start coming into your breath. Just taking some deep inhales and exhales through the nose. And if you notice that's already difficult to do, you've got to take a few mouth breaths, so that's okay too. Just kind of notice, I'm taking mouth breaths, which is a little bit more immediate. And find the nose breath if you can. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose, a little bit more mindful, a little bit cleaner. You could take deeper breaths. So notice if the breath is a little short, a little stuck, or maybe it's nice and long and lean. Maybe it's shallow, maybe it's deep. Just be aware of the breath without necessarily judging it. Just be aware. Now see if you can take a gentle hug at the base of the throat. This is called Ujjayi breath, and it's just a little ha sounding. So you can do it with the mouth open. I like the sound of a surprise on the inhale, and then relief on the exhale. So feel that ha sensation, and then just keep the mouth closed and do the same thing. deeper. Once you have that little sound, you're aware of it. It's part of you. And then once we're in the rhythm of the breath, this is where we like to set an intention or a sankalpa or a resolve. And usually I'll suggest a few things because sometimes you don't feel motivated, you're not thinking, you might be frenetic and all over the place. Sometimes you come in with a straight intention. This is what I want to get out of my practice. But perhaps just kind of feeling the idea of pacing yourself. Pacing is important for you to keep the proper momentum. So keeping that pace, your pace, slowing it down when you need to, speeding it up when you need to. So just pace the breath, pace the mind and the thoughts. And if that word or that kind of energy doesn't vibe with you, then find that person, that energy, that word, like a fortune cookie message that keeps you grounded in the breath and in the movement. And so if you had your legs crisscrossed, you're just going to crisscross the ankles the opposite way so we can keep the hips nice and even. And let's link our breath with movement by expanding the arms out as we inhale, up, 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 lengthening. And then as we exhale, let's just take the palms back behind the head and just nestle the head into the hands like you were lying on a beautiful beach. And then open up through the throat, through the heart, through the face, maybe drawing the head all the way back and really snuggle the shoulder blades together. And when you find your exhale, start to round, chin to chest, puffing through the back of the heart, maybe drawing the elbows together. And let's do that again. Inhaling, big breath. Through the nose, little hug at the base of the throat. Exhale. 2 more. 1 more. Next time we inhale, let's stretch the arms. As we exhale, left palm down, right arm reaches up, 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 and over. Now you can reach all the way till your forearm hits, but keep the length in the left side body, so you don't want to crunch through the side waist. And then start to reach your right palm forward. You'll feel the shoulder blade come off the back. That's the stretch. And then draw the elbow back, bend through the elbow, draw your shoulder blade on the back. That's the strength. And let's do that 2 more times. Inhale and exhale. Next time we inhale, let's launch the left palm up towards the sky and then press the right palm down towards the floor. Reach, reach, reach all the way over to find that lateral stretch, stretching through all these muscles that help support our breathing. Our breathing muscles, diaphragm is the main one. You've got your intercostals, side to side, your serratus muscles. You also have your muscles here, scalenes, sternocleidomastoids. So it's nice to open up through the front of the chest. And then from here, reaching forward and back, feeling the stretch and feeling the strength. And then on our next inhale, slowly coming on up, and then exhale, let's slowly reach the fingertips forward, come into an all fours position. And you can curl both of the toes under. Feel all 10 of the toes into the floor. And then just press the hips towards the heel in a humble, humble position. Just stretching through the arches, the Achilles. And you can take the chin to the floor or the forehead and just breathe here. Really reaching through the fingers. So activate through the finger pads, lifting up through the inner arms, but dropping down through the outer shoulders. And then let's take an inhale and come into the all fours. You can take the tops of the feet to the floor now. Shifting forward into a modified plank, we'll kiss the elbows close to the side body, drop down to the floor in a low push-up, and then press back with the feet curled under.
And then let's move with the breath. So our vinyasa is simply linking breath with the movement. So go slow. If you're relatively new, I like taking a block right underneath the low ribs. So I don't round too much. I keep nice and long and lean through the front back body and both sides. Let's do 2 more. Mini push-ups. 1 more. And then slowly start to walk your fingertips back. So you're sitting on your heels, a little more intense now. And then you can walk your fingertips back, lift up through the heart. This might be a little intense. If it is, you can always use blocks, books. I've even seen yoga teachers, especially in quarantine, use like a soup pot, like a little pot that you cook in. And then you'll come back, release the tops of the feet. You can tap them a little bit, or you can sit back on the heels and lift 1 knee at a time. So you're stretching the whole front of the shin, which is good. And if you're in Cambodia, my goodness, you're walking a lot. So it's really good to stretch out through the arches, through the feet, and through the front of the shin, and the back of the calves, which is what we're doing now. Downward facing dog, hips are high, heels are low. The intention is the longest spine possible. So if you've ever seen dogs, they do this so beautifully. To get their spine nice and long, some of them even have to bend the knees. So don't focus necessarily on keeping super straight legs. Find the length in the spine. And take a nice slow walk. Take your time. It's just a little stroll. All the way to the top of your mat. And then once you're there, you can keep your big toes to touch. I usually keep my feet hip distance apart. So it's just a little more helpful for my low back. Inhale, let's lengthen halfway. Take the hands to the shins. You can also take them to blocks or even the floor if you've got that flexibility. And then fold in. Ride the wave of the breath, inhale. Exhale, going at your pace. Let's do 2 more. And then grounding through the feet, you can bend the knees, pull the belly in, reach out and up, come all the way to stand. We're gonna do our ABCs. We'll do 1 sun A, 1 sun B, 1 sun C, and then have a jazzy time. Let's take an inhale, ground through the feet, pull the belly in, stretch the arms high. You're extending mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Reach to the floor. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the palms, and walk your way back into an upward push-up. Shifting forward on the toes, you can lower your knees or 1 long line to the floor. If your knees are to the floor, keep them to the floor for cobra or keep the legs lifting for upward facing dog. Pull the belly in, press back, downward facing dog, and breathe. Inner heels press back, inner thighs press back. So if you're to see your outer heels, they're in line with the pinkies. And then inhale, look forward between the hands, bend the knees deeply. You can step or lightly float your way to the top of your mat and meet your inhale. Then surrender on your exhale. Pull the belly in, stretch out and up, come to stand, and right into your mountain pose. Really strong, really grounded. Surya Namaskar, sun salutation B, bend the knees, send the arms towards the sky. Some of us have tight shoulders, so you can bend the elbows, palms face in, so you can fire up biceps and triceps. Sinking deeply into your hips. Hips are back, thighs are down, shins are back. Inhale deeply, exhale, forward folds. Inhale, lengthen to prepare. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the palms. You can step back or lightly float through your vinyasa. Try floating into the bent elbows, or at least a micro bend in the elbows, so you're not locking in the joints. Inhale, stretch the right leg towards the sky. Exhale, sweep it towards the right thumb. Drop your back heel to the floor so the 2 heels can be on the same line here. Slowly stretch on up. Now if the 2 heels are on the same line and this left hip is popping back, you can wiggle the right foot out to the right a little or take the left foot out to the left. So it's more of a diagonal in order to square the hips so we feel really rooted, really grounded, really strong, powerful in the belly, and then buoyant and light in the upper body. Big breath in. Big breath out. Frame the front foot. Press back into plank and lower down. Knees, chest, or low push-up. Cobra, upward facing. Downward facing. Inhale, left leg reaches. Exhale, sweep it forward. Squeeze the belly in, lengthen through the spine so your two hips are in the same line, right? And if your heels are in the same line, that's fine. But if the hips are not even, that's no fun. So everybody's pose is gonna look different because we're all different. We're all the same, but we're all different, right? So we are walking in the human race with blood moving through our bodies, but physically our bone structure, our cells, our history is different, right? And that all makes us different. It makes us human. Breathe here deeply. And then on your next inhale, look forward, bend the knees. You can step or lightly float, lengthen halfway, and fold in. Root down through your feet, bend the knees deeply, stretch the arms high to the sky for your Utkatasana or chair pose, and then find your standing Samastitihi or your mountain pose. Surya Namaskar C is a little bit, or Sun Salutation C is a little bit different. Inhale, stretch the arms high, exhale, forward folds. Inhale, right leg back behind you into a lunge, knee to the floor, palms reach up, crescent. Exhale, palms to the floor, back to down dog. Knees and chest, elbows squeeze in. Slide your way to cobra, press your way back. Right leg forward towards the right thumb, knee to the floor. Your back foot tucked under or top of the foot to the floor, whatever feels better for you, especially if you've got wiggly kneecaps. Sometimes it's good to have a flex. Palms to the floor, hop the back foot to meet the front. Inhale, rise on up. Maybe add a little juicy back bend. Exhale, forward folds. Inhale, left leg back behind you into a lunge, knee to the floor, palms up. Elbows can be bent slightly if you're wearing your shoulders as earrings. Exhale, palms down, downward facing. Knees slide, heart slides to the floor, lift on up. Press on back. A little more juicy. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, let's stretch the arms high to the sky. Grab a hold of your right hand, lengthen up through the heel of the hand and reach on over to the left side of the body. Left side of the room, left side of the mat. Inhale, come on up, stretch to the other side. Lengthen through the thumb side, snuggle the arms alongside the ears, and keep the frontal hip bones lifted. Let's come back to center. Find an interlace grip behind you to open up through the heart. And then as we forward fold, keep your bind if you can, if you've got the flexibility. If the legs or low back feel tight, bend the knees or lose the bind. Let's inhale, lose the bind, and find some length. And then exhale, we'll move our way into vinyasa. The traditional vinyasa is this: plank to low plank, cobra or upward facing, right back in to the downward facing. Right leg can stretch up towards the sky, open up through the hip, bend through the knee, and keep your right shoulder square with your left. Square off through the hips now so the two hips are in the same line. Find the exhale, knee in towards the nose. Inhale, stretch. And then let's sweep or grab the foot now in between the hands to set up for warrior two. Arms are in line with the legs. Breathing deeply here. Stretch through the fingers, make sure you can see your big toe. On your next exhale, let's just reverse it out. Left palm down the left thigh, right arm stretches towards the sky. Keep sinking into that front thigh. Find that beautiful crescent shape in your right side body. Inhale, let's take it back into your warrior two. Now reach and lengthen through both sides of the torso until you find your extended side. And that could be the forearm to the thigh, palm on the inside of the foot. The arm can stretch up or forward. Explore the length. Don't be afraid to take up space with the breath, with the body. The more space you take up, the more powerful your mission, your intention is. So take up that space with your breath, with your mind, with your subtle body, with your physical body. Inhale, let's take it back up. Exhale, palms either side of the right foot. You can come back into a plank or maybe a three-legged plank with the right leg lifting and slowly lower down. If at any point these traditional vinyasas are bugging you, just don't do it anymore. Just press back into down dog. We'll meet you there. Or you can always come in to your child's pose. Shins to the floor. Left leg reaches on a big breath in. In the middle. Open up through the hip, bend through the knee, find some wiggles, jiggles. Knee in towards the nose. And let's sweep it forward. Take the arms up and check out your torso. Make sure your torso is nice and even between both of the legs. It's not shifting too far forward or back. It allows the right amount of space, the right amount of grounding in the feet. Stretch the arms. Find a little reverse or a humble, exalted warrior. Oh, it's so nice. Inhale, let's come on up. Reach, reach, reach. Find your extended side angle. You can draw your gaze down if you need to ground your energy and focus a bit more. You can draw your gaze up if you've got some more energy to burn. Come on up on your next big breath. Find your vinyasa or downward facing dog. We'll stretch the right leg towards the sky. Open up through the hip, bend through the knee. Now from here, you can actually tent out through the right fingertips. That's kind of fun. And then you can even see if you can grab a hold of the right foot. That's just insane, but you can do it. Woo! Be playful with it. No one's gonna come around and give you a medal for yoga. Just try and don't give yourself a hard time. All right, close off the hips. Take a deep breath in. Let's sweep or grab the foot forward in between the hands. Back into your warrior two, but only for a moment. Let's straighten up the front leg. Feel the right thigh bone really plug into the hip socket. This is gonna create more length through the upper body and yummy stretch through the lower body. Let's Trikonasana it out. So triangle pose is right palm to thigh, shin, block floor, anywhere you can keep the length in the torso and also enjoy the length in the legs. So I like this. If you're feeling more resistic, aggressive, and fiery, maybe staying here on the ground is really yummy. If you're feeling tamasic or inert, stuck, a little in the rut, you can maybe lift up into a half moon. So you'll draw your gaze a little forward of the pinky toe, reach towards the front right corner of your mat, and maybe launch the left leg towards the sky. Have some fun with it. Breathe. Really reach through the left heel. Reach through the fingertips. Take up that space. And softly begin to bend the right knee. Come back into your triangle pose. And then let's come on up with a nice strong core. Parallel through the feet. Lift up through the palms and the heart. Find a forward fold. In your forward fold, just make sure that you're nice and grounded on all four corners of the feet. Sometimes if we're walking a lot, we run, we might roll to the inside edge of the feet or outside. This is a great way to train our foot to be nice and even. Let's take the right palm down to the floor, right in front of the face. Stretch the left palm towards the sky. Take your palm to the sacrum. Make sure, that's the lowest part of your spine. Make sure that that is nice and tabletopped, like a nice even playing field, so that you can twist from the upper body. Exhale, switch the sides. Inhale, stretch the arm out. So even when we hold the breath, you're still flowing. Hold the pose, we're still flowing in the breath. Sometimes I trip up on my words. Okay, nice and slow, we'll come back to center and you're gonna goddess out through the knees. So the heels are in, the toes are out. You like this little spider look? Yeah, you can do that. You can actually lift up through the toes. It's kind of nice for the toes. And then from here you can take the hands to the hips. Let's come on up into the goddess pose, god or goddess that is. Inhale, stretch the arms, and then let's just swing a few times until we get the right arm underneath the left. Give yourself a hug, because hugs and touch helps to release stress. It's good for you. And in this time, there's not a lot of touch going on. So allow yourself to snuggle yourself, give yourself some love, because if you can't give yourself love, it's gonna be hard to give other people love. Back of palms together for eagle or palms together, wrapping at the wrists with the thumbs towards the face, right? If none of this works for you, feel your breath is like, then just come back into the hug. Sink down nice and low. And then let's lift up on the heels and lower. Lift and lower. And then slowly release your eagle arms, come into the goddess squat, and then just roll your left shoulder forward, right shoulder back. Stretching through the inner thighs, and other side. Straighten up through the legs, stretch the arms high, reach, reach, reach through the side waist. And let's come back into goddess, swinging the arms once again. And you'll take the opposite arm under, so left under right, I can't even remember which I did. And then pull down with the elbows, lift high with the chest. So you can actually start massaging those lymph nodes underneath the arms. It's great to build immunity, boost your immunity. And let's travel on this one. So slide on over to the right, lift the left toe, slide to the left, lift the right toes. It's like a funky wedding dance, side to side. Really great for the inner and outer thighs. Lots of strength in the top and back of the thighs in yoga and most everything we do, walking, running, biking. It's really nice to work the inner outer thighs, helps to support the low back. And then nice and slow, we'll straighten on up, stretch the arms high. And then what are we gonna do? Take the hands to the waist, heel toe the feet in. And then keep your feet about 2-3 feet apart. Spin on the heels and face forward towards the front of your mat with the two hips in the same line. So just like the warrior one, your heels might be in the same line or they might be on the diagonal to keep hips square. We'll pyramid it out. So palms can come to the heart or to the sky. And then find your forward folds, releasing the palms to the earth. Deep breath. Squeezing the inner thighs towards one another. Right hip comes back and up. Left hip comes forward and down, almost like we felt that tabletop in the low back once again. And then from here, let's soften through the right knee. Hop the back foot to meet the front foot. Find an inhale and find an exhale. Let's come into a toe stand. So the heels lift, the hips go low. Your fingers can come to the floor, they can come to the thighs, or you can take the palms together at heart center. And you can do any one of those three things as you slowly take a seat. And in your seat, palms can stay here at the heart, or you can draw the palms down towards the floor as we come into boat pose. Wherever you are, it's perfect. If your palms are to the floor, you'll just take your knees towards your left shoulder, right shoulder presses back, and then switch the sides. Right, palms together at heart center, you're just going to switch your twist. You can keep your legs straight here. Mine don't really straighten. I've got very tight hip flexors. Don't worry about how many we're doing. Just breathe. Keep the spine nice and long. Core is engaged. Let's do one more time each side. Release the soles of the feet to the floor. Palms can come back behind you. Lift the hips into an altar pose. Maybe the head drops back. Now lower the tush, cross the heels, and palms to the earth. You can step back into a plank or hop back into your low plank and take your vinyasa, or just skip it altogether. And I'll meet you in the downward facing dog. On our next inhale, we'll stretch the left leg towards the sky. You can open up through the hip, bend through the knee, and then close off through the hip, knee to the nose. Stretch it on forward and sweep it in between the hands, coming on up into a two, straighten the front leg, and let's find our triangle pose. So feel, just like we did in Warrior Two, torso is nice and even, then the muscular strength is really in that front thigh, and then the balance on the back thigh. And then you just find your length here. Everybody's length and each side might be different. Just observing that difference without putting a label or judgment on it. Just opening up to the fact that you might have different sides. Everybody's got different sides to ourselves, right? And then staying here in the triangle pose, or drawing the gaze down, reaching towards the back left corner, or the top left corner of your mat, and coming into your half moon pose. Because I'm bouncing from side to side here. And you can be playful here. You can lift the fingertips, find balance. You can, oh my gosh, I have no balance. Left palm towards the left shin. You can even find Tapasana, or taking the outside of the foot. Just find some exploration, find that space, and pace yourself. Nice and slow, we'll take it back down into our triangle pose, and then let's take it on up. This time, let's heel toe the feet in, so it's that shorter stance, heels in, toes out. Sink down into a Malasana squat, draw your palms together at heart center. Now my heels connect to the floor, but not everybody's do. Sometimes our Achilles heel, right here, ankle, is a little bit shorter. So that has nothing to do with flexibility or strength, it's just your bone structure. From here, you can take your palms down towards the floor of your mat, snuggle the knees towards the upper arms, and maybe lift one foot. Try inhaling and shifting forward. Lift one foot as you exhale, and then you can just switch the sides. One and then the next. And then maybe on your next exhale, squeezing both of the feet in towards the midline. It's always nice to practice it on the exhale, because we actually have inner locks in our body that can help us find that hold. Unless you're really sweaty arms like me right now. So find that a couple of times, and then meet me back in the Malasana. From here, we can forward fold with that shorter stance. Hands to the hips, let's come on up. And now we'll turn to face forward, getting ready for pyramid, second side. Bumping the hip forward, two hips in one line, palms at the heart. You can take the arms high, or maybe find a reverse grip. Here, here, or reverse prayer. Find what works for you. Inhale, and then ride the exhale into the forward fold. Try to allow the upper body to really relax here as the lower body is enjoying stretch. Lengthening each inhale and exhale. Your breath is probably much deeper than it was when we started just a little bit ago. And then you can shift the weight forward towards the front foot, hop the back foot to meet the front. Inhale, let's lengthen. exhale, fold in. Next inhale, let's prepare. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the palms. You can step back to plank or hop back into chaturanga, the low plank. Go through your vinyasa. And when we're in our downward facing dog, let's stretch the left leg towards the sky. So even if you've been teaching for a million years, sometimes you forget stuff. Left leg reaches, open up through the hip, and then if you want, tense out through the left fingertips. Oh, so good. And then maybe you want to reach for the foot. Oh my gosh. That's for next year. Release that foot down towards the floor. Let's inhale, right leg lifts, open up through it, bend through the knee, and let's sweep the right knee towards the inner right wrist. This is your pigeon pose. And if you've got any knee issues, don't worry, just don't do this. Come to a seat and I'll coach you through a seated pigeon. So from here, you want to be able to balance nice and evenly on both hips. You should be able to come to prayer here without falling over. And if you are, just take a pillow, take a book, take something, and boost your right hip up. Nothing wrong with that, but you should be able to balance here. Lift and lengthen, and then let's fold over the front thigh, front shin rather. When you're here, you can also kind of walk over to the right. That's so yummy. And then you can walk over to the left. Take your time in your pigeon pose. We're folding inwards. Our energy is folding inwards, being grounded. So it's the first place we usually start checking out and starting to think of our list of things to do. So really come back into the momentum of the breath and your intention. For those who've got issues with their knees, they can come to seated and just cross the right ankle on top of the left thigh and rock from side to side. This is quite delicious, if you ask me. You can also do the same thing on your back. Press the right thigh away from you. Keep the ankle flexed. And you can reach under, find the hamstring, that's the back of the leg or the shin. And then you can just stay there the whole time. So even if you don't have a knee injury on the left side, you can do pigeon, the pigeon that we're doing, or you can just stay on your back and do the other side here as well. My other pigeons, you'll walk the fingertips back up, press into the floor, curl back, toes under, stretch the right leg high, shake it out, and then let it go. Left leg reaches, you can open up through the hip, and then let's swing the left knee towards the inner left wrist. You'll notice, I'm only showing you on this side because you can see it, so you'll notice that, well, my hips are in general pretty tight, but the foot, you can point the foot if it's pretty much in line with the right hip or the opposite hip. If you want a little bit more stretch in the glutes and the outer thigh, start to flex the ankle as you bring the shin up. So as soon as that foot is higher than the hip, the knee gets a little precarious. So you want to make sure that you've got a nice solid flex in the ankle to keep the knee stabilized. And then again, balance. You'll feel that lift. You'll feel the square of the hips, and then you can surrender. And sometimes it's nice just to count your breath. Or just be with the breath. Be with your stretch. Exploring any of the stretches that feel comfortable. A side stretch, we've done a bunch of those. Those are always really lovely. I like them because they're really boosting for the immunity. Anytime you're increasing your lung capacity and stretching these muscles, it's a good thing. So if you're in pigeon on your back, you can stay there. Pigeon on your front, you're going to come back into the downward dog, open hip, shake it out. And then you can release the knees down towards the floor. Shift the shins off to one side. Scooch the hips forward, and then let's just lie on our backs. On our backs, we'll just do a little juicy back bend here. So bring your heels in so that they're in line with your hips. And then just take the elbows and press them down towards the floor with the palms mirroring one another. Pressing the elbows in, lift the heart space so your shoulder blades come onto the back. Then from here you can lift your hips, interlace the fingers, and maybe even slide the shoulder blades deeper underneath the heart. Oh, that's so good. Knees are forward, heart is back, breath is smooth. Now feel free to take a break. After about 5 to 10 breaths, come down onto your back and then let's go up again. You can always place the palms either side of your ears for wheel pose. So even if your dream is to come into wheel and you're not quite there, wheel prep is quite powerful because you don't have your grip here. You still have to keep your hips high. Palms either side of the ears. Make sure you see the elbows. Press into the palms and just lift to the crown of the head. That's quite enough. And then if you've got that, you can lift all the way up. Bring your big toes to parallel. You can even do a few little push-ups here if you want. And then when you're ready to come down, chin will come towards the chest and gently make your way back down through the bridge. So you can do your second set bridge, third set bridge, another set of wheel, and then let's come down nice and slow. And then just press under the thighs a little. You can do a pelvic tilt just to release any tension in the low back. And let's take the palms face up and just take the legs straight up towards the sky. We're gonna hold there for about 10 breaths. And this is just a nice little relaxing inversion for you to do to finish your practice. If you have an inversion that you do normally, shoulder stand or headstand, you can go for that now. You've got 10 breaths to spend. Otherwise, this is just a lovely place to be. Shifts your perspective, increases the flow to the legs. Because we're on our legs, we're on our feet a lot. And then after you've had yummy 10 breaths from shoulder stand or headstand, you can relax in child's pose or fish. If you have the legs up like me, you'll slowly just hug them into the chest. Grab a hold of the shins, grab a hold of the elbows or the forearms or the wrists, and just allow yourself to rock yourself. It's quite soothing. This self-love, soothing and rocking with the breath. You can even let the head kind of rock from side to side. And then let's expand the arms open like we're gonna give a whole bunch of people a hug. Maybe you can think of all those people you love, respect, admire. They're coming in for a hug. Big breath in, big breath out. Just release the knees to the right, gaze to the left, relax. Let every exhale be a tad bit longer than the inhale. And come back through center, and this time maybe grabbing hold of the outsides of the shins or the feet. You can rock from side to side, kind of a hybrid of happy baby and well, Peter Pan pose action here. Peter Pan flying through the air. Knees can squeeze in, arms wide open for a hug. Drop the knees to the left and gaze to the right. And slowly begin closing the eyes. And if that right shoulder tends to pop up a little bit, you can bend the elbow, prop it up on a pillow, or maybe even just take the hand behind the head. So even the elbow can relax and the shoulder blade might lift. Coming back to center, you'll take the legs and the arms towards the sky. Let's wiggle through fingers and toes, just moving any air out of the joints. That's that inertness, stickiness. Let it go. And then relax in your Shavasana. Shavasana is what you have worked for. Check in, just like we did at the beginning, to make sure there's no little bits, extra bits that need to be wiggled or jiggled. And if you do, just relax them a little, shake them a little, so you can really soften. Allow every muscle to relax. And try to give yourself at least 5 minutes in this resting posture on your back. You can also support underneath the knees with pillows, or underneath your head, or underneath your heart. You could always opt to come to a nice comfortable seat too, with the eyes closed, and allow yourself a few moments to look within at all of the space that you've created by practicing. There is no doubt that if you listen to yourself, if you pace yourself, if you honor yourself, if you love yourself, if you can give to yourself, you can give that much more to other people, even if you don't know you're giving it. So allow yourself to find that space in your day, in your body, in your mind, in your spirit, to serve yourself. Find the space. And in that space is your purpose. And that's where we all should be living, in our purpose. Serving that purpose. Because when we're following our heart, we're following our purpose, we are serving other people. Take as much time as you need to stay in your Shavasana or seated meditation. And when you're ready to seal your practice, you will. Palms together at the heart and the chin to the chest. Bowing in honor of yourself, your balance, and steeping yourself in gratitude for your healthy and strong body, mind, and spirit. And for sharing that time with me, I thank you. Namaste. Much love. Bye.